U.S. Air Conditioning here at the Salt Lake Community College administration building. We have two large air handlers. We're going to go through the safeties and the controls and the wet section sequence so that you know how they operate. Is your light okay? Mm-hmm. Right over here is your freeze stat. This button allows you to, it's a manual reset. There's also another one up above. This is air handler 2. There are 2 more on the other side of the air handler. On air handler 1, there's also 4, but they're all on one side in a straight line. At the other end of the air handler is a high pressure reset. It's a black button. It's about eye height. We can go down and look at that. Okay. The other end, the exhaust end of the air handler, and right here, this black button is your high pressure reset. If for some reason the damper closed and the pressure goes too high, it will shut it down so that we don't blow up your duct. This is where you have to come to reset it. Let's go in here on your evaporative section. John, if you would join us. John. Okay. You have a couple of sections or options for cooling on this air handler. The first option of cooling is an evaporative section, much like a swamp cooler. Pumps water out of the sump, takes it up, goes over the top, has a distribution tube that comes down and drips water over this honeycomb system. And that will also be controlled from your control system. If we can do it with evaporative cooling and not make the humidity in the building too high, it will continue to do that. Once it hits a certain set point, this will shut off, and then we go to a cooling tower coil that will cool, and if that's not maintaining, then it goes to a chilled water loop or chilled water coil, and we are trying to maintain 55 degrees to satisfy the space. John, is there anything you'd like to add to that sequence?
Yeah, so that's exactly right, except once the EVAPs turn on for the day, we do not shut off the pumps because we don't want a wet-dry cycle. The pumps will stay on the entire day until the end of the day when we go through an unoccupied and EVAP flush, where we'll flush the system down. Why it's going, if it ends up getting too cold, there's bypass dampers, and the bypass dampers will modulate to either push air through the coils in the media or bypass the coils, so we still maintain a consistent discharge air temperature. At the end of the day, the way that we go through the flush down cycle is about an hour before we shut the air handler down, we open up the drain valve, which will drain all the water out of the sump for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once that water is drained out of the sump, we then leave the drain valve open, the makeup valve shut, we then open the flush valve. And so the flush is what comes all the way along this pipe here, and it has some spray nozzles or some holes in that pipe where it actually cleans the pan, whatever's collected over the time, cleans the pan out, and also flushes down through the media, I believe, as well, just fresh, clean water to get all the debris out of it. That lasts for about 15 to 20 minutes. After that, the flush valve will then shut and the drain valve will stay open. The drain valve from that point on stays open, the flush valve stays closed, the makeup stays closed, and we just run the fans for an additional half an hour to dry the media out before we shut the unit down. That completes the cycle for the EVAP flush system. Then if it needed to be, you could recall for it again to turn back on, but generally it would stay off as the air handler shut down and re-enable the following day. So, but during the day, if it does, the only time we'd ever shut these down is if the humidity, it's basically we never shut unless we shut the dampers, outside our dampers, the only time we'd ever shut the EVAP media off. So, yeah. So real quick, I just want to point out, this right here is a low level sensor. This is designed to lock out the evaporative media pump from running if there's no water in the sump. The way that we enable the system to run for 15 or 20 minutes, but if for some reason the makeup valve didn't open and there's no water, we don't want to burn the pump up. So this sensor right here actually disables the pump from running. This right here is your float valve right here, and as the water fills up, this goes up, and once it gets to the top, it shuts the valve in here and stops the water from going. As the media starts filling over and starts evaporating through, this will drop down, fill the tank back up. This is how it maintains the level control, is through this. So,
That's just a bypass.
And this right here is just a bypass. If for some reason this wasn't working or you just need to fill it up more or less, you can just open that right there.
My question is, if we were to come in here, how would we know, how can we tell that the pads are calling for the cooling, for the pads to get wet?
So the easiest way, without looking at the building management system, looking on the computer and whatnot, you would be able to look at these valves. These valves are indicating with the arrows the direction. So this is basically shut, shut, and open.
Okay.
You would see them go the opposite way. So this would be the makeup valve, which is this one. This is the makeup valve. That will be consistently open whenever the system's enabled to run. And this one would be shut. One thing to note with these valves, don't pay attention to the white thing because it spins. You
Just
gotta
a
look
little black, okay?
exactly, that arrow is indication of the position of it. So, and generally you'll probably have a little bit of water bypassing through that you can hear. Just the pump has a little bypass, so you're always pushing fresh water through it. So.
And one thing I think I'd ask this in here, but one thing this right here, the computer says it's calling for it, this is on. We happen to come make rounds, it's not. We check the secondary system, see if it's working. If it's working, then it's just done bypass this stage and
Yep.
it's just doing what it needs to do. If
Exactly.
the second one's not working and it's cooling up outside, then we need to see what's going on, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
On the fans for this unit, you've got two VFDs over here on the wall. They're bigger boxes than the other ones that were on the training, but inside is basically the same. And then you have, instead of having one fan, you have something called a fan wall, or 6 fans, and they're all direct drive. The fan blade is mounted to the shaft of the motor, and there's a grease zerk right here, and then another one right up front. Once a year, or however you normally maintain your fans, don't over grease them. That's worse than under greasing. And on the other side you can see their screens, so you can't put your fingers in there, but you've got the fans running and maintaining the pressure. And if I understand correctly from Beisel, the top 3 are on one VFD and the bottom 3 are on the other VFD.
Where's the filter bank?
That way. You don't need to see anything in here, do you?
No.
You guys know that? I hope that wasn't in your head.
More roomy. Oh, there it is, okay.
All right, as you can see, as the camera turns around, here's your dampers for your return. Inside is the filters. There's a door to the right that allows you to get in and change filters as often as they get dirty.
What are they, 4-inch or are they 2-inch?
Those look like 2-inch. Nope, they're 4.
Are they 4s? Okay. And they're a MERV 5?
We have a 24 by 24 by 4.
Yeah, that's the common size we have.
Yeah. And I haven't counted to see how many there are, but there's a bunch.
I would say at least 30. 50, bro. There are 35 filters with 5 smaller filters on the end. And they're,
to
of
fill in.
course, 4-inch, and they're 4 by probably, whatever, 30 by 20.
24 by 24 is the big ones.
24 by
Yeah.
24 on the big one. These are probably 24 by 10 or 12.
10, 12, yeah. They're a special order, so we have to get them.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so you'll want to order them in advance.
Yeah.
Have them on stock just like everything else.
Okay.
And the word in the back is they are 24 by 10.
24 by 10.
24 by 10. I think that concludes my information on the air handler unless you have further questions.
Last one. We don't wanna see these pads humid, moist, they're just regular dry pads.
These are just dry pads.
So if they're humid, wet or something, we get too much humidity coming through the fans or.
This is the return, so all the water that you're putting in is going to be on the other end. So if you've got water here, we have bigger problems.
Yeah, I got it, sorry.
Not a problem.
Now, it doesn't have a, I'm trying to think of the name of the meter.
Magnehelic gauge?
Magnehelic gauge.
It's over on the other
It's on
side.
the other side, I didn't see it.
Yes, there's a
It's generally
Magnehelic
about
gauge.
Like 1 inch is one we generally change.
Yeah, and there's a needle on there that you can, once it gets to
Yeah.
wherever you decide,
Decide.
then it's time to change the filters or your, whatever your maintenance program calls for.
Cost for it.
We filter differential pressure is wired into the BMS system as well, so you can see it on the
Oh,
computer
okay.
and get an alarm, and you can
And the
adjust
alarm
it.
would be
I think it's 0.8 is
dirty
where I have
alarm.
it now or something, but it's adjustable. It'll just say dirty filter.
Now, do you know what these filters are? Are they like a mode 5?
13.
Yeah.
They're emergent 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Enjoy the building.